I was determined to make a great impression during the tryouts. When Evan, the basketball team captain, passed me the ball, I ensured that I maintained possession until I reached the paint. My dad's wisdom echoed in my mind. He always emphasized the importance of teamwork in a winning team. It wasn't about showcasing my individual shooting, assisting, or rebounding skills. It was about being a team player. Evan seemed impressed, even though I was just a freshman. It was evident that I wasn't only the top shooter but also someone who meshed well with the other team members. However, there was a guy named Xavier who seemed to harbor animosity toward me. "Shorty wants to shoot," he yelled. "Let's see if this shrimp can jump." I was determined to prove him wrong, and in the end, I proved it to everyone. When the final list was posted, my name occupied the top spot as Andrew, the reserve point guard. My dad was bursting with pride. He'd often share how, during his school janitorial duties, he'd gaze up at my name on the walls, wishing to tell the world that I was his son. I wanted the same, but he felt it was better to keep it quiet, considering I attended a prestigious private school with a renowned sports program. My dad harbored hopes that I'd catch the eye of a talent scout by the time I graduated. In the meantime, he wanted to shield me from any potential bullying, knowing he was just a janitor at the school. Personally, I didn't mind at all. If my father took pride in me, I took even greater pride in him. He had worked tirelessly to provide for our family. My dad was an honest man who found fulfillment in his job, especially because it afforded free education for employees' children like me. On the day the test results were announced, my dad eagerly prepared a special dinner to celebrate our achievements. As my father prepared our meal, I glanced around our cramped house, noticing the peeling paint on the walls. It was a tiny space with only one bedroom, where my father's lumpy bed was shoved to the side. I usually slept on the sofa, which was situated right next to the kitchen stove. My father's enthusiasm got the better of him, and he accidentally spilled oil all over the hot stove. When I rushed over to help him clean it up, he suddenly shouted, "Don't use that rag." It was too late. The rag I held inadvertently made contact with the open flame and caught fire. I hastily dropped it into the sink, realizing that it was the same rag I used to clean the science lab at school. My father continued to shout, but then he burst into laughter. I joined in, even though we had almost set our tiny apartment ablaze. Despite the mishap, we enjoyed a delightful dinner that night. Okay, so it was burnt sausage and mushy eggs, but my dad and I shared hearty laughter and made plans for the future. "Only 4 more years, son," my father declared with a gleam in his eye. "I'm certain an agent will scoop you up right away, and we'll have a better life." He exuded hope. But when I look at my father now, 6 months into the school year, I hardly recognize him. He's not old in years, but his posture is hunched like that of an elderly man. Being a janitor at my school is grueling work. Most of the students come from affluent backgrounds and are accustomed to having others clean up after them. They casually toss garbage into trash cans, often missing and leaving it on the floor. Cafeteria trays with leftover food are carelessly abandoned with little regard for the bins along the walls. The placement of the math class near the front door hardly makes sense, as no one bothers to wipe their muddy feet before entering. By the time the school day ends, it resembles a battlefield, and my father is the one tasked with cleaning up the aftermath. However, it wasn't always this challenging until Xavier became aware of our family's situation. During the orientation for new team members, Xavier thought it would be amusing to break into the staff room. He instructed us to move everything from one table to another, and we followed his lead as he whispered, "Follow me." We stealthily navigated the pitch-black school, eventually arriving at the teacher's room, where Xavier skillfully picked the lock. Throughout the whole escapade, I felt a constant mixture of nervousness and sweat, as I dreaded the possibility of getting expelled from the school I had just started attending. "I don't think this is a good idea," I voiced my concerns to Xavier, and even sided with me. "Come on, man, don't be such a whiner," Xavier replied. "They won't kick us out. We have a shot at winning nationals this year. Are you all wimps?" Despite my efforts to be discreet, the rest of the team wasn't nearly as stealthy, creating a cacophony of noise. Our mischief eventually attracted the attention of the night janitor, who promptly notified the principal. The principal then contacted our parents, and that's when the truth about my identity as the janitor's son was unveiled. "Andrew," the principal began with a slow shake of his head, "I expected better from you. I thought this school meant more to you and your father." Fortunately, we received relatively lenient consequences, a week of detention. When my dad looked at me, I could tell that he understood my longing to fit in. On our way out, as Evan's dad accidentally dropped his wallet, my dad picked it up and returned it with a friendly smile. "Sir, I think you dropped this," he said courteously. Evan's dad took it back and expressed his gratitude. However, Xavier couldn't resist taunting us. "Good thing we're here," he quipped. "Andrew's dad didn't steal it because we were all watching. I bet he wanted to take all the money from your wallet and maybe even sell the wallet itself." My dad's face flushed with anger, and I was tempted to turn around and confront Xavier physically, but my father restrained me. In a quiet voice, he said, "That's why I didn't want you to tell them who I was." I suspected Evan and his dad might have overheard his comment.